Hello, back playing Examiner, the Examiner beta. So I have a few things to report. So I actually did about an hour's worth of two videos, which was about an hour's worth, where I progressed. I found some things out and progressed further into the game, and I look back at the recording and yeah, my microphone was muted, so really not worth it uploading them, but I do now have a bit of an insight as to certain things, the most important being I know where to get the key that we need. It's being carried around by a zombie. So there's an axe wielding zombie, hopefully not too far from where I am at the moment, who is carrying the key that we need. So the next thing I'm going to do on this video is try and track him down, lay him to waste, and steal his key because we want it. So unfortunately, it means that you won't get the same sort of excited I found a key sort of moment that would have been on the video, which is a shame. But yeah, I'd rather just tell the story than pretend like I don't know, because I think that's it's a bit dishonest. So yeah, I was keen to start the recording after I killed this guy, who I've nicknamed Kurt Cobain. I think he's probably the hardest enemy in this section of the dungeon. His sword is the best weapon I've seen so far on an enemy. It's an interesting body position we can get him in. Kurt, for obvious reasons, you know. So we'll take his sword as a trophy. We're not planning on using it, but we will certainly hang it on our mantelpiece when the time arrives, and we will progress onwards and try and track down this guy, open the locked doors, and yeah, we can see a bit of progress hopefully, so long as fights go well, of course. Speaking of which, we have one right around the corner. Now, this is the guy that hangs around with Kurt, and you have to be very careful when you're in this area. They wander around quite a bit, these guys, and you don't want to be fighting them both. Kurt is hard enough on his own, and you don't want this guy sort of backing him up, because even though he has only got a metal bar, the damage you can take from the sword swings is really, really high, and everything you can do to minimize that obviously is what you want to be aiming for. So I certainly recommend when you're in this area, so you've just come down this corridor and you're faced with these two doors, then proceed with caution around here. Kurt will aggro as soon as he sees you, and you have to be a little bit lucky, I think, to not aggro them both. But he certainly seems, you know, very, very hostile. As soon as he sees you, he'll run straight towards you. So what I do is I sort of stand in this doorway, wait until I see that he's spotted me, and then I made a beeline this way and did the fight in this corridor, as you can see, and I think that's possibly the best way to do it, but it really depends as well on where these two are. I've seen them in a few different places, they tend to be together, and how you negotiate it really depends on where you find them, but like I say, a couple of times in this corridor I've found him, a couple of times in this room, and there's been another time where I'm sure he was somewhere else. But if you're going to fight them in this room, then you know you've got the nice open space, but again, it's quite hard to do them one at a time when you do that. So I'll leave it obviously up to you when you are maybe playing this game to make a decision on that, but that's the way I do it. This is where I've mainly found them, in this area mainly. I just try and drag them away down a corridor. Okay, last time we found the axe dude in this room as well, but it actually looks like he's not here this time, which is a bit of a shame. I was kind of hoping I would just find him quite easily. But yeah, he's definitely not in here, and we know already that this area is door free, just with this very interesting door. And so with that in mind, we're just gonna continue onwards. Obviously, looking at my health, I've still got a health potion left. I've been doing reasonably well in this run to avoid damage. It's actually probably the best that I've done up to this point. Usually Kurt takes enough damage off me for me to just want to take the health potion there and then, but this time he's the one who did that damage to me, and it's certainly not worth wasting the heal. So instead we will, hopefully we won't have to use it any point soon. Here's to hoping. Yeah, you just never know though. I mean, it only takes a missed time swing or something to happen, and you can go from full health to no health very, very quickly, as I've probably demonstrated quite well. Oh, and I did manage to kill the two guys who had been giving me trouble in the last playthrough. The guys who ended up finishing me off. They what are these? Actually looks like a bit of armor, doesn't it? But it's nothing that I can get in my inventory. I think it's just a cup or something like that. Yep. So let's take this law. Remember if there was anything in here. No. That was a shame. And so yeah, if we can get that key, and we can... the key opens all of the locked doors that I found. Oh, this is Velvet Man's bedroom, isn't it? So if we can get the key and open all those doors, there's 3 locked doors that I found in this area, and I think that is all of them. The one key opens all 3. We can potentially get to some rather tasty gear, get some nice upgrades, some bits of gear that we don't have already, as hopefully we will see. But do have the small issue of the fact that the enemy that we're looking for isn't in the place we expected him to be. So we kind of need to work out where he might have gone to. Be on the lookout for any signs, so footsteps or the sounds of doors opening and closing. But he's nowhere to be found actually here. Potentially up this way. This is actually the way that I came from. I just shut the door to make sure that I wasn't gonna have any problems when I was fighting Kurt Cobain. Right, and we've got 2 guys in here. And yeah, I've seen this already. I just avoided them at first, but I think what we're actually going to try and do is pull them out one at a time, if possible. They don't seem to be leaving this room. I've waited now for a while, so we'll try and wait for an appropriate point. Hopefully then manage to shut the door, shut one out, and then we'll just make tracks down the corridor. So I'm just gonna sort of gyrate at this guy, and looks like he's coming. Yeah, okay. We won't bother with the doors then. We'll just see how it goes if we just run him down here. I can't imagine the other guy's gonna follow that amount of distance, but even if he does, I'm fairly confident that it wouldn't be a disaster. I say that, but yeah, they're not the best armed of enemies. The weapons aren't particularly strong. Obviously fighting one at a time is always preferable, and we seem to have managed that quite successfully, so. So yeah, the zombies that killed me in the last video, I've managed to down them. I managed to get the door shut. I think I was just a bit unlucky the first time. It is a little bit awkward trying to shut that door as one of them's charging out, but it's very possible. I've done it twice. It's very possible. The other guy doesn't seem to aggro. And come running through the door or anything like that. So yeah, I think I just was a little bit unlucky on that time where I died. But definitely, if you encounter them and you decide that you want to kill them, because that is the other thing about them, is there is nothing in that room. It's a dead end room, and the only thing I found was, well, I say nothing, a dusty old logbook. So I was pleased to obviously expand the library, even if it's not the most text of all of the books. However, it's also a very avoidable fight. There's no real reason to fight them, which is a shame. Obviously, considering it ended one of my runs, but you're only ever going to know these things if you try them, aren't you? So the only way I know now that is an avoidable fight is by actively not avoiding it and learning what it was all about. So nothing really gained from it except for the experience and knowledge of the enemies, and of course we shouldn't forget the dusty logbook, because it's gonna flesh out our library when we get around to making a little library somewhere. And yeah, I found a couple of those dusty old logbooks. There's a couple more sort of hidden in one of the first rooms of this area. And when I say this area, I just mean anything beyond that first key. Okay, so this guy has a cleaver. And I've actually got a bit of a theory about two enemies and what makes them sort of more or less dangerous. I have had a few instances now where I've managed to deal with two enemies quite successfully, and the ones that I really seem to struggle with when there's one with a weapon with really long range and another with a short range weapon. So like those two guys there together, I think would have been really pretty tricky. Same with our prosthesis friends. Prosthesis and a crutch together, short and long, it just seems like it's more effective, and it's harder to sort of get your accurate blows on one or the other when you're constantly sort of trying to shift your position to avoid different ranges of attacks. Too long range is probably the best case scenario because they're more than likely one of them will kill the other one, and you can sort of force that to happen a little bit if you can get the fight in sort of like a narrow corridor. Right, I don't think we've been through this way yet, so hopefully we're gonna come across the guy that we're looking for. Oh right, this is just this little this little torture room, so and there. I am a little bit confused as to where I should look. I've dealt with most of the enemies in this area though, so we do have a bit of a free reign, I think, to wander. And it's nice doing that as well because you familiarise yourself with the area. It makes it easier to get to the places where you're trying to get to. And yeah, the more I've played through this section of the game, the easier that's sort of gotten for me. But yeah, we really do want to find this guy because, as I say, if we can upgrade ourselves to as much as we possibly can, before we head into the new area, then yeah, that's kind of what we want. Oh, and I did discover there's I didn't notice that there was 2 chests in this. I'd always just only seen the one. It must have just been the angle that I'd gone in to the room the first time. One of them isn't empty. So you got this buckler and a tunic. I don't particularly want either of those things, so as much as it was nice to discover some extra bits of gear in a chest, not particularly useful for me, so I had the excitement of finding something new and the mild disappointment of it not being an upgrade. Right, we've wandered out of the area we want to be in, so let's just head back in here. Yeah, like I say, I'm at a little bit of a loss as to where this guy could be, but we'll just try and explore every potential avenue. I imagine that he's going to be reasonably far in because he has been the other couple of times that I've found him and the key. And he's not a tricky fight, he's just he's averagely armoured and with an axe, so again, as long as he's alone, then really not an issue. And I have checked. I killed one guy with an axe earlier, and I did check him properly for a key. He might have. No, he had a crutch. Obviously, no key for him. Oh, we've missed a few books over here. I won't bother with rereading them all. If you want to see any of that last video, I'll read them all, and if we find anything new, then obviously we'll take a bit of time to have a bit of a read. Oops. I think I can hear some footsteps. However, could just be my own as I adjust. Yeah. As your character comes to a stop, you kind of do 2 footsteps and it can sometimes just confuse you. These are just our cells, aren't they? Yeah. Right, we'll just keep on sort of wandering about, trying to find him. And these are the doors we get to unlock. These are 2 of them that... Ooh. Quite sure what that means. Hopefully that's not a game breaker. Seem to be now moving in slow motion. Okay, let's see if we can resolve this. Probably if I exit the game and then come back to the save, it will hopefully fix it. This looks quite good though, doesn't it? No. Let's just see a little swing in slow motion. Right, okay, so yeah, I think I actually haven't done this before, but I'm fairly confident that if I exit, I can then continue. And hopefully, yeah, we've fixed that little error. So obviously it's a beta, and to be honest with you, there are not many bugs. The bugs on the whole are very trivial. They won't impact your game too severely. And the ones that aren't trivial, and that would be there's one where items sometimes just disappear, and it seems like the developers have actually solved that issue, which is really cool. And another one, there's one where sometimes you stick to the wall, but honestly I haven't seen it in hours and hours of gameplay now. I did see it quite frequently when they first brought the patch out, and then I haven't encountered it again. I've even tried to sort of recreate it to try and help with the whole debugging of the game, and wasn't able to. And yeah, I don't really know what happened there. And it wasn't game breaking either. You could easily just unlodge your character with a little mouse click, so it might have sometimes meant that you took a bit of damage that you shouldn't have taken, or you're stuck on the wall, so you couldn't move in the way that you wanted to. So in that respect, it could have impacted on your playthrough. But they're the 2 most severe ones and that I've encountered. And like I say, not a major issue. So it's a testament to the game. It's playing very much like a game that's been released, to be honest. I've had a couple of error messages which have prevented me from continuing playthroughs now. They're probably the worst. I was worried when that one came up just then that was going to be one, but as it turns out, it wasn't. But yeah, if you get one that says validation error, and I've only had it twice, that's one that you just can't get out of, and will sort of impact on your gameplay. But like I say, a beta is a beta, and I've played a few betas. This one is certainly one of the better ones in terms of stability and feeling like it's an all-round product. It's considering how complex the game is. It's a really good job they've done of it. RPGs as a rule, I think, tend to be a bit notorious for bugs, and well, I won't mention any names, but I did buy one of the more premium RPGs recently, and my experience was just ruined. I'll be honest, ruined by bugs, and I can't bring myself to go back and do all the content that I'd already done again. And yeah, and when you pay sort of triple the price for a game as compared to this, which this game at the moment you can get for a tenner, by the way. But yeah, when you compare the two, I spend a tenner on this. I actually spent a little bit more because I wanted to make sure that I get the game that the developers are making. This is more like a little sort of side project sort of thing. Even though it doesn't feel like a side project, it feels like a very well-rounded game. But yeah, I was keen to get both of them because that game was one that I'd been following for a long time since they launched it on Kickstarter, and I'd been following the videos that they'd done and their updates and their blogs and stuff, and yeah, just one day recently I went on the website and saw, oh, there's actually something that I can play here. So immediately backed it and got it. I'm not a big fan of Kickstarter. I will happily admit I'm not a big fan of buying beta games as well. I'll quite happily admit. I do make an exception for this game, and based purely on its awesomeness, right? But yeah, I mean, if you go on there, I need to try and remember to make sure that I put links in descriptions and things, but I'll put a link in the description of this video to make sure that anybody who just sort of happens across my gameplay videos has a way to go and buy the game for themselves. I'd recommend you go and do it now. Yeah, the price is almost certainly gonna go up and reflect, what you're getting. It's an absolute bargain at the moment. I'd also recommend you take advantage of the fact that you can get both games for a very, very reasonable price. Almost too cheap, I would say. I'd say the game, in my opinion, from the amount of fun and time I've invested in it, it's worth double, if not triple, what they're asking for. And so go and do it now before they realise and put the prices up, or before the game's released anyway, when I'm sure the prices will all change, and yeah, so you've got like a little limited opportunity to go and get this whilst it's still in beta, and I would wholeheartedly recommend that you do that. Right, okay. Yeah. This guy doesn't have an axe. However, I'm encouraged by the fact that we're finding an enemies, because it means we haven't been down here. And who knows? Maybe it's not always on the axe guy. Maybe it depends. Maybe the axe guy drops his key. This guy picks it up. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I mean, I imagine that we're not getting to quite that level of complexity, but you never know. And there's a post on the forums that I replied to, and it sort of explains in the other game that they're making, which is going to be more like an RPG. Where it won't be a roguelike. Your character will die and come back, which will be part of the story, which I really love. Reminds me of one of my favourite games of all time, Planescape Torment. And I mean, I suppose Dark Souls does it to a degree, but I can't think of any other games where they actually incorporate the fact that you die into the story, it tends to just be, oh, you've died, here you go, you're back, with no real explanation, no rhyme or reason. However, yeah, one of the things that I appreciate that this game is, not this game, the other game is going to do is give you a reason why you come back to life, and coming back to life will be part of the story. So, like I say, Planescape Torment, another really excellent game. You can get that on Good Old Games, and it sort of harks back to that for me, and I really love that aspect of that game where you'd wake up on a mortuary slab repeatedly, you know, with a headache, like, oh, I've died again, sort of thing, fresh scars and all that sort of thing. I really like that, because it's too common. I think games cheese over certain facts, like, and in a game like an RPG where you want to immerse yourself and you want it to be sort of realistic, then yeah, I fully support that now. Question, did I actually remember to loot that guy? I might have actually forgotten. Okay, well, this isn't going quite it just wouldn't be a video of mine, would it, without the old face plant. But not going quite as smoothly as I would have liked, as I was kind of assuming that I was going to just find the guy with the key, we'd progress, and that would be the end of the story. But as it happens, we are a little bit stuck. So I just really hope that I haven't already killed him, and it's on one of the bodies that's just lying around, because that could be a real pain trying to find. However, I'm sure I did search the guy with the axe, and I'm convinced that it's going to be a guy with an axe. Yeah, that's him there, right? I do think, though, I was talking too much that I forgot to loot that other dude. I'd be surprised if it's on him, though. Even though he is stood right by the locked door. Maybe I'm wrong. Alright, let's try and just retrace our steps a little bit. I'm getting a bit caught on that wall. And yeah, what I may end up doing is, because I think I've actually been playing for about 20 minutes. I'm not sure, I haven't really been keeping track of the time, but what we might do is just pause the video. I'll try and find the guy and then make it a new video. Make the new video start from there. Unfortunately, didn't get to see very much in this one, aside from me sort of wandering aimlessly. Even though I do have an aim, it has been reasonably aimless. That sentence didn't really seem to make any sense. Straight into the door again. Right, so what happened to that body? We did kill him down here, didn't we? Did he vanish? As well, if we can't find it, it's not the end of the world. As I say, it gets us some nice gear. However, it would seem like it's a little bit of an optional area. It'd be a shame not to get it, because obviously We want the upgrade, we want the loot. Especially when it's things that we don't have already, like shoulder pads. Because they're obviously going to just be straight upgrades, and they're going to hopefully add to our survivability. Okay, this is a tad frustrating, but yeah, I'll do this for 5 more minutes, and if I haven't found him, then I'll go back to my plan and actually just do it off camera, try and find him, maybe kill him, maybe loot through all the bodies if I haven't got any luck, and just do that without forcing everybody to watch it. Oh, not that I'm forcing anybody to watch it, but you know, it's not the best content in the world if I'm just running around like a chicken without a head. Come down here again. At least we found that body, and we know that he definitely didn't have it. I would quite like to get back to the big hall with the sealed up doors, because I know that he has been in there in the past, so maybe he's sort of wandering around, and we'll wander back there. Like I say, still getting all this imprinted into my mind, this area, and although I'm better, I am a long way off from not being totally lost sometimes. Okay, so that would be the health potion room, right? Yep. Just quickly check this body. So I think we'll try back the other way. I should have known that. Okay. So we need to remember opposite the health potion there is no way to progress. I think there was like a bit of lore or something, so, but yeah, nothing really the other way. Let's just try and find that opened hallway, which I think is through one of these doors. Right. They're the doors we're trying to open. And toilets that way. One dead guy. No key. A couple of dead guys. The sorry corpse of Kurt Cobain. And yeah, he was near he was near to Kurt Cobain when I first found him, and he was near as well, I think, on the other time I found him. So hopefully I'm sort of going along the right lines here. He must be the only enemy left in this place, because I've been quite thorough with killing them in this section, at least. No, I tend to skip quite a few of the enemies in the early section now, just so that I can sort of get through it really quickly. However, I may actually have to visit that area, go and kill everything, just on the off chance that one of them's got a key to that room that we've been. I haven't shown on camera actually, but there is another locked door up that way. And the other thing I'd quite like to try is this new key if we ever find it on that locked room, because it's always worth a try. Something makes me doubt it. The keys seem to, well, so far anyway, with the 2 keys that we found, have opened you know, doors that are close by to each other. So if there's, I'd be a little bit surprised if there was a key in this side of the dungeon that works on doors on this side and doors on the other side, but you never know. And we're only going to find out by trying. So at some point I'm gonna do that. I'm really struggling to find the hallway now as well. So I will persevere for a little bit, and then I'm gonna do it off camera, I think. Obviously the last thing I want to do is go off camera and then die. So I will try and get it done here if I possibly can. And this must be really frustrating for anybody who knows where I need to go as well. But I think aha, we've gone back to this room. Good. But yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll probably do like once I've learned the game properly and I've completed it and all that sort of stuff, and done it on my own initiative without reading guides and stuff, I will probably explore some of the forum posts that I've been avoiding, because I mean I really do want to read them. I just don't want to see or hear something that would potentially spoil for me. And so yeah, when I get to a point where I feel like, right, I've done everything I can, I've completed the game in the way that I know how to do it, I'll read some of them, and then I'll probably do like a proper walkthrough where I just go straight to things. At the moment I am not at that stage. I can imagine it's going to take me, I mean, I'm not sure how far in I am or how much content is left, but when that eventually does happen, then that's when I will read some of those forum posts, see if there's anything that I potentially would have missed, which is inevitable, to be honest. I've almost certainly missed something or other along the way, and from the sounds of that note you get in your inventory at the start, you actually have 2 methods of completing the game. I don't know if that's what it's referring to, but that's how it seems to read to me. It says there's scrolled on the back of the note, there is another way out, and so if there's another way out, there is one way out, and if there's another way out, there's another way out. So it's a good reason to repeatedly play it. And I mean, I suppose I could try and discover that, you know, on my own without spoilers and things like that, but I think by the time I've completed the game once, I'll be a little bit more open to reading things or watching other people's videos, because that's another thing I want to do, and I've been avoiding doing it. So right, see, he had an axe as well, and I haven't picked up the key already and forgotten, have I? I'd be so embarrassed. No, I didn't think so. These are just back to the cells. Alright, well, what I'm going to do then is we'll pause the video there. This can be a nice episode where death isn't its ending, which is, as I always say, a nice feeling. I'll have a bit of more of a scout around and try and find him. If I find him, I'll just pause and then we can watch the fight and all that sort of stuff. But if I can't find him, what we'll do is we'll just head to the area we were going to head to anyway, and we'll just sort of say never mind. We could have had like a pair of shoulder pads. There's some nice sort of shin pads. Can't think what the technical name is for them now. Van braces or something. And so yeah, whether we get them or not, I will update you, and we'll have another video. But this will do nicely for the next one, even though it's been for the most part just me wandering around and rambling. Even so, potentially give you some help yourself in learning the area, seeing what I've done. Hopefully the tips about killing Kurt will save someone somewhere. I'd like to think. And yeah, so thank you for watching this, and back in a bit.